Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on Game 2 of the Round 5 2008-2009 season Pro League matchup between Hiya and Bisu, the assassin himself. And this is going to be played on Destination. Again, previous games' results will be spoiled if you're watching, so be aware of that beforehand. We've just seen Jaedong whitewash Hiya quite comfortably. And really, he looked annoyed. He looked annoyed that he was thrown up against a player who was obviously no challenge for him. The entire matchup was a formality, as were the celebrations afterwards. And as a StarCraft fan, I've got to tell you, I'm a little bit disappointed. Why put Jaedong in against a player with something like a 30% overall win rate? You've got Hiya here, who's now going up against Bisu, and Hiya is a pretty decent player, and I would have put him, even though his versus Zerg stats aren't great, I would have still put him in versus Hyuk on Outsider, because Terran versus Zerg on that map is still 50-50. 50% obviously, but it looks like both coaches have made a tactical decision here. The Oz coach has said, I'm not going to risk my best player losing, so I'm going to put him on Outsider. And the SKT1 coach has said, fine, I'll give you Jaedong, but I'll take Bisu in Fantasy. And it just seems to me to not really make tactical sense. You've got to back your best players. You just got to have faith in them. Now, I know a lot of you guys might not be cricket fans, which is something on my mobile going off in the background. Looks like I've received a text message from somebody, which I'm going to have to go through. It's just from Meteor, my mobile phone provider. Anyway, looks like we've got Hiya sending out his scout. Bisu, surprisingly, Bisu hasn't sent out an early scout yet. This must be the first game I've seen of Bisu in, I don't know, 2 years, where he hasn't sent out his probe straight away after putting that pylon down to scout. Only now does Bisu's scout, and Bisu's scout still hasn't gone out. So Bisu having a lot of faith in his build, obviously, and obviously a lot of faith in his knowledge of his opponent, feeling comfortable in not scouting. Now, it has to be said, this is Destination, and the Protoss versus Terran rate on this map is 60%. Honestly, if it wasn't imbalanced enough playing against Bisu, Bisu is imbalance himself. Bisu is imbalance personified right now. Doesn't matter what map you're playing against him on, he's imbalanced. But you've got a 60% Protoss versus Terran win rate, so it looks like a formality. And really, from a StarCraft fan's point of view, it's a little bit disappointing to have 2 games of a series pretty much pre-decided, where there's no challenge, where you could have had potentially Jaedong versus Bisu on a 50-50 map, where either player could have taken the win. And really, the SKT1 coach did put Bisu on here, and the onus was on the Oz coach to put Jaedong against him. And you know, I know a lot of you guys aren't cricket fans, but it's like cricket. It's like the 2020 World Cup, which is going on right now. A lot of English fans will identify with this. You've got to put your best bowlers up in the first 6 overs, where there's a risk that they're going to get clattered. That's when you put the best bowlers. That's when, you know, when the going gets tough, when it's dangerous. That's when you put in your best players. That's when you send in your top assassin. You don't send in your top assassin to take down, I don't know, some 10th level lieutenant of Al-Qaeda. You send in your top assassin to take down Osama bin Laden himself. There's just no point. You're just not going to get anything out of taking down some 10th level lieutenant, because there'll be a million others to take his place. Anyway, I'm not going to labor the point too much more. This again, I do feel that this is another game that is going to be translated into a formality. And Bisu going for, oh my god, I've been talking so much, I've missed the proxy pylon by Bisu just south of Hiya's base, and this might be a very short game indeed if Hiya doesn't scout this. Bisu putting down the robotics facility, and Hiya unable to get those Marines up into scouting. Excuse me, unable to get the Marines into scout, and he's not going to be aware of this at all. He's gone for standard 1 racks into factory build, probably starting up his command center 1 fact into CC. I would guess he's put up the he's put up his machine shop, but he's not going to have his defenses up in time. That's going to be a very short distance for Bisu's shuttle, and that's one of the big advantages of putting that robotics facility down where he does, because he won't need, because without the shuttle speed, it takes that much longer for the shuttle to get there, and the machine shop spinning away for Hiya. And even if he does, he's produced his first siege tank, so it looks like he might be going for siege mode straight away. He hasn't produced any vultures, and personally, I'm a huge fan of vultures, just to put those spider mines around. It looks like we are going to be seeing a reaver drop from Bisu, and that harass is really probably going to significantly impinge. But Hiya is going to be putting some pressure on Bisu himself. He's pushing out with 6 screens and a tank. Bisu is a master at defending against this kind of attack though, and now the robotic support bit going down as well, and Hiya really has no hope of scouting this, and he's going to get completely caught off guard. And if Bisu can reduce these units of Hiya's, he's not even going to have those Marines to fight against that shuttle. So Bisu really needs to kill those Marines here. Hiya stop producing Marines, and Hiya obviously using that push a Vulture out as well, so I'm sure he's researching spider mines. Hiya using those Marines to push out, and Bisu, if he can take those Marines down, Hiya is going to be completely defenseless against this drop when it does arrive. But it's just a case of Bisu holding his defense right now. Hiya now coming in with the 7 Marines, but Bisu with only the 3 Dragoons, and he hasn't fought a running battle at all. He takes this Vulture down as well as the spider mine. Great Dragoon micro from Bisu, now pushing back up the ramp. Hiya using the SCV as leverage, but so far he's done some damage to 1 Dragoon, which is almost dead. But Bisu with excellent micro. Hiya is now going to be able to force his way up Bisu's ramp. He's lost most of his Marines in the process, but Bisu's now got 4 Dragoons in there versus 4 Marines and a siege tank. And great defense by Bisu, retreating and fighting all the way. Loses one of his Dragoons. Now the spider mine down on the ramp. Bisu again with great Dragoon micro, loses another Dragoon, another spider mine going down. 2 spider mines down. Bisu with the 2 Dragoons left, but he's taken out all of the Marines critically, and that Reaver is going to be popping. The shuttle Reaver is going to be popping out pretty soon, and Hiya is going to find himself in a lot of trouble. Bisu once again trying to take the spider mine down, taking some critical damage to those Dragoons. He needs to keep those alive. Hiya coming back in with the siege tank, another Vulture coming in, trying to push those Dragoons back so he can plant those spider mines and push Bisu further and further back and contain him in his base. But Hiya completely unaware of what's going to be coming right up his rear in a couple of seconds now. Hiya trying to get those turrets up. He's not going to have them up in time. Has he scouted that robotics facility? He is moving some SCVs away, now lifting up the engineering bay. Bisu drops a Reaver. The SCVs are still in there. There's a lone siege tank to defend against this. A Dragoon drops in along with the Reaver, and there's only 1 Marine, and that 1 Marine is really not going to hurt that shuttle enough. Hiya trying to focus that siege tank down. Another couple of SCVs get picked off, and Hiya's economy is suffering here, even though Hiya managed to get a semi-contained, which Bisu is now broken. Meanwhile, and Hiya in huge trouble. You can just see from the expression in his face, he's in big trouble right now. His forces were all at sea, and his reinforcements were all at sea, while his main army is getting pummeled over land. Bisu now bringing in a second siege tank and trying to get pincer on that Reaver. He managed to take the Dragoon down. His siege tank is almost dead, though another drop will probably kill it. And meanwhile, he hasn't been mining in his main at all. Looks like Bisu is going to retreat. Hiya taking heavy damage from that proxy Reaver, although it could have been a lot worse for him. I think the fact that he put so much pressure on Bisu earlier on, if he played a little more of a standard game, Bisu would have been able to affect more damage, because he would have been able to bring the Dragoons in from support and attack from 2 fronts at the same time, whereas Bisu was forced to keep his defenses at his base and that attack. But you still got to feel that Bisu's come off much better there, because Hiya's economy has taken some damage. He's lost a couple of siege tanks as well. Bisu meanwhile has resecured his natural expo, this actually I think both players will feel reasonable after that. Hiya didn't lose too much to that proxy. He did lose a few SCVs and a couple of siege tanks, but he did manage to hold out, and he has got his natural expo up and running. He did start up that natural expo earlier than Bisu, so he will feel that he's in a decent position in terms of his economy. Bisu now just clearing out those spider mines past his bridges, and he's going to once again be able to roam the map freely. We have seen before how Terran players can contain a Protoss player, and really that's what Hiya was trying to do. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Bisu now looks like he's ready to go in with another drop. I wonder if he's got 2 Reavers in that shuttle this time. I'm not sure. I think his Reaver might have actually been killed the first time around. I wasn't sure. I didn't really see it get destroyed, so it'll be interesting whether he's got 2 Reavers or just the 1. Hiya with strategically placed turrets, obviously trying to ward off that shuttle. Bisu just now wandering the map. Looks like he's going to take the expansion at the 4 o'clock position, and it looks like Bisu. And just again to reiterate for anyone who hasn't caught on yet, Bisu is playing Protoss in orange at the 6 o'clock position, and Hiya playing Terran in teal at the 12 o'clock position approximately. But yeah, I wanted to, while there's a slight lull in gameplay, while Bisu probes with the shuttle for an opening to do a little bit more economic harass, and Bisu now putting a couple more gateways down his economy, going into macro mode. And Bisu managed to seek the shuttle into Hiya's base. He's managed to get into Hiya's main. He's going to drop a couple, and he does have this, so that Reaver didn't die. 1 Reaver shot going off, hitting the siege tank. I think the siege tank was just about out of range, but he's managed to find a maneuver way in, and he's dropped right in Hiya's mineral line. Managed to take out 3 or 4 SCVs, not doing a lot of damage. Bisu being very cautious. I feel he could be a little bit more aggressive, but I suppose he doesn't want to lose those Reavers. He really realizes that if he loses those Reavers, then Hiya could put a lot of pressure on him. Looks like now Bisu's getting ready to drop behind Hiya's natural expo, where Hiya does not have where Hiya only has a single turret, but that's way out of range of that. He does have the sea shanks, obviously, and unfortunately for Bisu, with the 2 Reavers, I'm not sure that's such a great move, because if he had a Zealot, he could drop a Zealot first to absorb the damage from the sea shanks, as opposed to the 2 Reavers. But obviously Bisu, realizing that that robotics facility is a little bit vulnerable, so he wanted to produce those Reavers from there and get them out of there ASAP, just in case Hiya decides to go down and take it out. Even a couple of vultures would potentially trick Hiya, now putting down his 3rd, 4th, and 5th factory. And Hiya seems to be doing a reasonable job of holding his defense. He hasn't taken too much damage, and I think a player like Flash would probably be feeling comfortable right now with his ability to cheat and macro the way he can, and just come out with that 200 Psy army out of nowhere and pummel you down to the ground almost UV fashion. Hiya now sending a couple of vultures out marauding. He still hasn't found that robotics facility, but I suppose he knows where it is, and he realizes he'd have much more mileage in trying to take down Bisu, now obviously in defensive mode against those vultures, and now sending out a couple of Dragoons just to clean up, just to make sure he doesn't let those vultures. The Bisu is going to intercept those vultures. Another of the vultures gets taken down, and Hiya not really being able to inflict any sort of economic damage. He's out of the 4 vultures, he's only got 2 left. He's trying to circle on the map and find an opening, find a weak point of Bisu's, but Bisu is the assassin without a weakness. He's the assassin. He is literally Achilles without the Achilles tendon. That is Bisu's playstyle. He does not have a weakness. You literally have to outplay him to beat him, and you really have to have a good day to be able to do that, and that is rare. It is rare for Bisu